Good evening, everyone. David Mulca with you on this Tuesday. If you are just joining us, we're continuing to follow breaking news and tragedy in Longview, where a chemical tank imploded this morning at a pulp and paper mill. Drone video showing the damage at the Nippon Dynawave packaging facility along the Columbia this evening. 9 people remain unaccounted for. 9 people injured, with one person, a father and grandfather, confirmed dead. We expect to hear from the governor and other officials in the next few minutes. While we wait for them, let's catch you up here. Authorities say the tank held about 900,000 gallons. That's more than one Olympic-sized swimming pool of a chemical they describe as highly caustic. I understand the governor is getting underway here. Let's listen in.
Fire Chief with Cowlitz 2 Fire Rescue. First and foremost, our thoughts remain with the victims, their families, co-workers, and everyone impacted by today's tragic events. I want to provide an incident overview. At approximately 7:15 this morning, emergency responders were dispatched to the Nippon Dynawave packaging following the rupture of a tank containing white liquor. That is a chemical utilized in the paper making process. Due to the scale of the incident, agencies throughout the region responded immediately and continued coordinated operations on site. This is a large, unified response involving the Longview Fire Department, Cowlitz 2 Fire Rescue, law enforcement, hazardous materials, medics, ambulance personnel, state agencies, federal facility personnel, and many additional partners, many of which are behind me here, along with our political team. Incidents of this magnitude require extensive coordination, and that coordination remains ongoing. We stated this earlier this morning, and I want to reiterate it here now. At this time, we state that there is no direct threat to the surrounding community. Again, there is no threat to the surrounding community. Operational challenges. The recovery and stabilization efforts remain extremely complex due to the ongoing hazards. Earlier this morning, I mentioned that there was a roughly 80,000 gallon tank. That information has been modified, and it is now approximately a 900,000 gallon tank of that white liquor process. After evaluations midday, we believe that there could be a potential of 90,000 gallons remaining in that tank. The tank remains unstable, creating a dangerous situation for our personnel, which has created our additional planning. Crews are actively assessing the structural integrity of that tank and working on plans to stabilize that tank before additional recovery operations can safely proceed. Those are the situations and limitations that impact our access to the portions of the facility. Now I'm going to turn this over to Battalion Chief Matt Amos with the Longview Fire Department.
Hello everyone, good evening. Thanks for being here. My name is Matt Amos, M-A-T-T-A-M-O-S. I'm the Battalion Chief for the Longview Fire Department. I have some updates on victim information. Today's incident resulted in multiple critical injuries and fatalities. Emergency responders have confirmed that 10 individuals were transported to area hospitals. 8 were employee injuries, 1 was a firefighter injury, and we have 1 fatality. Officials can also confirm that there's currently 9 employees who remain unaccounted for. The recovery operations, they remain focused on safely accessing all affected areas of the facility, recovering victims, and supporting impacted families while ensuring responder safety. Due to the instability of the site, some areas remain inaccessible at this time. All impacted families have been notified as of a couple hours ago. Responder safety, 1 firefighter sustained injuries during the response operations and has since been treated and released. Safety remains a top priority for everyone operating at this scene. The current operations, numerous local, regional, and state agencies continue coordinating response and recovery efforts alongside facility personnel. Due to ongoing safety concerns, recovery efforts will resume tomorrow once conditions allow crews to safely continue operations. In closing, this has been an incredibly difficult day for our community and for everyone involved. We appreciate the professionalism and dedication of the responders working this incident under very challenging conditions. We also appreciate the patience and support of the community as operations continue. We ask that the public continue to stay clear of the area, including the surrounding dikes and ditches from Prudential Boulevard to Washington Way. We will have updates tomorrow by 10 a.m., March 27th. At this time, I'd like to transition to Washington State Governor Bob Ferguson.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for being here. It's difficult always to find the words at a time like this, and as you've heard already from previous speakers, our thoughts and our prayers are with everybody impacted by this tragedy. So on behalf of the people of the state of Washington, I want all those individuals to know that we stand with you. We'll be here to do everything we can to help with the situation, and we'll be here as long as it takes. We also deeply appreciate the first responders and their tremendous work that they're doing and have been doing to deal with an extremely, extremely challenging situation. The main thing I want to emphasize is how much I appreciate, and I want the public to know, the extensive coordination that's going on at all levels of government with many partners, local, state, federal, and many other partners. We just came from very lengthy briefing and conversation from those partners. We were in a room together having a conversation, which was deeply helpful for me. And I want to share a few things that we're doing at the state level to assist with that cooperation. But again, I want the public to know everybody's working very hard together in full cooperation, which will help us get through this challenging time. So the state has mobilized to help. Our emergency management division has been in constant contact with local responders and offering support. We've mobilized the Washington National Guard Civil Support Team, which is now on site. They will assist, for example, the Department of Ecology with air monitoring. I've also directed the National Guard Homeland Response Force to be on site. This team can assist with search and recovery in a contaminated environment, as well as mass decontamination. The Department of Ecology and Labor and Industries are also on site. Department of Ecology is monitoring water quality, and L&I is ready to begin investigating after the first responders finish their very, very important work. The Department of Health is assisting with emergency medical logistics. I have leadership from all those divisions who are here today, joined us in these conversations to make sure we're doing everything we can as a state to support the important work that's going on here and being here for folks as they go through this extremely challenging situation. We will, of course, continue to monitor the situation and offer resources and support. I deeply appreciate all the cooperation. The state stands ready to continue that level of support. One of those key partners is, of course, our federal government. I deeply appreciate Senator Patty Murray being here, and along with the Congresswoman, making sure the federal government is a partner as they've been all along. And so I want to turn over now to our U.S. Senator Patty Murray.
Governor, thank you very much. And first of all, I just want to express my thoughts, my prayers to all the victims, the survivors, the neighbors, the friends of everyone who's been impacted today. This is an amazing community of hardworking people, and a tragedy like this affects absolutely everybody, and I want you to know I am thinking of all of you and am here for you in any way that you need. Secondly, my gratitude to all of the first responders who have been on the scene since early this morning in a very dangerous situation, who are giving up their personal lives and commitment to make sure this community is safe, and thank you to each and every one of you who are doing that as well today. I want you all to know I'm in very close touch with the community leaders and the state leaders to make sure we are bringing forward any federal responders that we can to help in any way we can, including today EPA and Coast Guard that are here now, and more that stand ready to be helpful in any way that we can. I know there's a lot of questions about how all of this happened, and I want to assure you that we will all continue to pressure to get answers to those questions. This community deserves that. So again, on behalf of everyone here, I want to thank this community for being who you always have been. caretakers of each other. That's what this is going to require for many days to come, and we are your partners and at your side. With that, let me introduce to you your representative, Congresswoman Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez, who's been here, knows many of the people who have been impacted. Thank you for being my partner.
Thank you, Senator. Our first responders and our emergency room workers, our nurses, and many people here have seen truly unthinkable horrors today. And so as we pursue the dual imperative of getting answers, I'm profoundly encouraged by how many people are checking in on each other. These are a tough people. These are a strong people. And underneath that requires the strength to ask how you're doing. Check in. Bring a casserole by. The neighborliness is what is going to bear out the strength to get the answers that we need here and to rebuild and protect our lives and our land and our community. It is unthinkable tragedy here today. And I think at the heart of all that we know and all we don't know is the knowledge of the goodness of people here. And that would lean on that. That's where accountability, that's where answers come from, that's where the strength to rebuild. And I'm encouraged by the people I've seen here today, the electeds, our first responders, our folks from the INE. I'm profoundly encouraged, and it's going to take all of us to rebuild and get these answers. And with that, I'll turn it over to Senator Wilson, who's a nearby resident, as well as our state senator here.
What occurred here today is going to show a test of our community. We're family. In fact, I have family that works here on this site. But because of my knowledge of the local community, I am confident that the team here, the operators on the site, are going to put together the necessary means through the recovery and the remediation aspect of this tragedy. And for those that live here in this community, we know each other, and it is time to reflect on that. But to also be patient if you can. The process is going to take some time. The answers will be directed. But again, I think we're going to get through this. Meantime, prayers, kind words, and let's get this figured out together. And with that, I'd like to introduce Representative Joel McIntyre. Thank you.
What happened today is a tragedy. Longview is a strong and resilient community, and it will recover. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge, though, that there are families today that have lost everything, and they never will be able to get back to normal. They will never recover. Such tragedies like this put things in perspective, that it could have happened to any of us or any of our families at any time. And I'm just going to hold my family a little tighter tonight in gratitude, because nobody thought that this morning their loved one wouldn't come back. In these times of this kind of uncertainty and tragedy, we sometimes need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. A message was sent out from a local religious leader that I think puts it into better words than I can, and I'd like to close by reading his remarks. He said to his members of his church and the community in general, "It is with deep sorrow that we acknowledge the tragic chemical spill that occurred today at the Dynawave packaging facility in Longview. Our hearts are heavy as we consider the impact this incident has had on families, employees, emergency responders, and all those affected throughout our community. On behalf of our church, we extend our sincere condolences, love, and prayers to the individuals and families who are suffering during this difficult time. We especially pray for those who lost loved ones, those who were injured, those anxiously awaiting news about their loved ones, and all who are carrying the emotional weight of this tragedy. We're profoundly grateful for the courage and the service of first responders, medical personnel, plant employees, community leaders who acted swiftly under difficult and dangerous circumstances. Their efforts reflect the very best of compassion, sacrifice, and community service. In moments such as these, we are reminded that the strength of a community is found in the way we care for one another. We encourage our members and friends to continue offering prayers, kindness, patience, and support to those in need in the difficult days ahead. As disciples of Jesus Christ, we believe that even in times of uncertainty and grief, the Savior's love can bring comfort, peace, and hope. May we unite as a community in lifting and strengthening one another. With heartfelt sympathy, John Schmidt, Stake President, The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to another representative, Jim Walsh.
What a terrible day. But bad days like this are the test of our ability to come together and to remedy trouble, to get to the bottom of why these things happen and how we can better prevent them from happening again. This is a place where real people make real things. This is not the virtual world. And real things and real industry always carries risk. But it's our job to make sure that risk like this is well managed and to the extent it can be controlled. And I am so impressed with how people at all levels of government, from all sides of the spectrum, have come together to solve these problems today and for the next few days so that we can go forward more safely, more constructively, and more productively. What I ask the people out in the community is be careful about letting gossip run here. We're in the early day of figuring out exactly what happened and how, and figuring out exactly what we can do to prevent this from happening again. So let the process work. Let the responders work. And in time, we will know more precisely what happened and why. But for now, I think all of us are with those families that are waiting to get the answer. And I feel you, I see you, I know what you're feeling. And no one can feel it for you. We can't make it go away, but Godspeed. And know we care for you. I'm so impressed that the pulp and paper workers immediately have put together a facility for the family members to have a place to go and talk to each other if no one else. This is a community, and it is coming together. And at times like this, through sorrow, we see what is best in people. And I'm encouraged by that. And now to close up our comments, the mayor of Longview, Eric Halverson.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. We're speaking to you today under incredibly grave circumstances. As our emergency teams continue their tireless work here, our community has entered a time of profound tragedy and deep mourning. On behalf of the entire city of Longview, our hearts are heavy. Our deepest prayers go out to the families, the loved ones, the co-workers who are experiencing unimaginable grief and pain today. To those families, we are with you. Know that your city stands with you. You're not alone. We will support you through the darkest days and weeks ahead. I want to extend my most profound gratitude to the first responders, the medical personnel, chaplains who have been on the ground since the first alarm sounded this morning. They're working tirelessly in a highly complex and dangerous conditions, not only to stabilize the site, but to provide immediate care and spiritual comfort to the workers and families who are hurting. As you heard today, we are fully coordinating our response at every level of government. Thank you, Governor Ferguson, Senator Murray, Representative Gluesenkamp-Perez, Senator Wilson, and Representatives McIntyre and Walsh. We are completely aligned on supporting Longview's families, protecting our workforce, and ensuring the full weight of local, state, and federal resources are deployed to assist our teams on the ground. And in closing, I'll invite the command staff to answer any questions that they can. Chief Goldstein and Battalion Chief Amos.
Thank you, Mayor Halverson. As the mayor said, we're here to attempt to answer your questions. Understand, as earlier when we talked to you, we will be able to answer some. We will not be able to get into other questions. I'm going to work just from my right around to my left and identify you all and work that way, okay? Go ahead. You want me to have that? Sure. So, thank you for the question. The question about details about the recovery process. One of the things that I want the media community to understand and the members of our community to understand is one of the pictures that was put out earlier by Longview City about the tank. That is the 900,000 gallon tank that had the failure. And I'm going to use failure not as a technical word, but just as a general description. That tank, as outlined, has roughly 90,000 gallons of product remaining of the white liqueur. That's the concern if additional liquid leaking, because it's very caustic. Additionally, the tank itself collapsing while men and women are in the areas retrieving the co-workers and the members from Nippon. How that gets stabilized is what our primary goal is. Stabilizing the tank, 1, removing the liquid from inside the tank, 2, then accessing the victims that we are able to locate and recover. Our secondary goal is to return all of the workers to their families to have a closure for this incident. The chemicals themselves are ones that the team is very distinctly aware of. We know what the concerns are. We have even hypothesized the concerns of tank A and tank B mixing and having a different issue. And that, as the governor outlined, is part of that lengthy conversation we had inside a little bit ago. We don't know until we know, hopefully tomorrow, how we can stabilize the tank. Do we remove the product first? Do we stabilize the tank first? Or the vice versa? That will be our step forward. Responder and plant safety is the number 1. Then the community is a natural relay to that. So we can't give you details. Thank you. I'm going to go to the front to the back. That information we don't have at this time. All right, so repeating the question is about what caused the tank to fail and when was the last inspection. Do not have that information at this time. You want to take that?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So we're going to speak on crews. First off, emergency crews that responded today. Both Longview Fire and Cowlitz 2 provided fire suppression units, multiple ambulance companies, as well as medics ambulance service to transport those patients, 10 patients, to the hospital. We also worked with Vancouver Fire Department we use them as a resource when attempting hazmat response. Cowlitz 2 provided some hazmat technicians to make initial access to the area, and we use them for reference for the product and our continued operation. Right now we have the site completely secure, allowing no access in. Responders are back replenishing supplies as we make our plans here with all of our partners for our plan for tomorrow for recovery efforts.
With the dangers of the site being present, one of the early planning decisions that was made that we would operate during daytime hours, limiting our risk to only the operational periods during the daytime. That's for the benefit of the safety of the personnel. As Matt outlined, state ecology is here, EPA is here, and that's providing additional resources as well as air monitoring in the community, as well as water sampling to the concerns. Midline 13.
Yep, Dan Griffin with Fox 13 in Seattle. I kind of have a two-parter here. So my first part is, can you talk about the dangers that this chemical, this white liquor, places people in? I have read a lot of stuff online. I'm sure the families of these victims have started looking on Google, reading what this can do to the human body. Can you elaborate on those dangers that first responders now face and what it could do to you if you're exposed to it? And then second off, if it's a 900,000 gallon tank, where did all of this go?
So to outline the question, the dangers of the chemical, the white liquor, and then we're going to use the number of roughly 500,000 gallons of the product go. Let me start with the second and then get into the first. During the explosion, there was also a rupture of a on-site facility water main. I'm going to call it the fire hydrant, the fire main on site. We had a large volume of fire main water combined with the roughly anticipated 500,000 gallons of the liquid that was dispersed. That remained on site and is remaining on site. The staff here on site has a very robust treatment capability for their operational services on a day-to-day basis, and in conjunction with the state agencies here, one of the things that we relayed, Matt mentioned it in his briefing, is we want the community to stay away from the dike and the ditches between Washington Way here and Prudential. We saw an initial increase in the pH level in that waterway. One of the early calls that were created was to the diking district to turn off their pumps in that area so as to keep it contained there. That message of stay out of that area, Washington to Prudential Boulevard, is what we want everybody to be aware of, and plans are in place to put signage out to ensure that is known for those that don't capture it in the newspaper. The dangers of the white liquor. Can you take that as far as the caustic?
Yeah, the white liquor is used in basically the paper making process. It's a caustic, so it has a high pH. I believe it's roughly a 13 out of 14 on the scale, and it would burn your skin. Basically second to third degree burns. When you come in contact with it, it is direct inhalation. If you're in a lot of plume, it can be dangerous, but it's more of an irritant as it creates a small cloud on the ground before it dissipates. So speaking on our first responders coming in contact with it, like our PPE levels, we do have some damaged PPE that had to be taken out of service because of that, because of what it does to our equipment. But because we did have some of that happen during the initial rescue operations where we were taking viable victims from the scene, and so we did have some exposure to chemicals on our PPE.
Thank you.
someone who's not from where they live in the area, can you talk about what this packaging company means to this community and the impact that it's felt throughout the community and throughout the day?
Well, the question was the impact of Nippon Dynawave to the community and the impact in the days forthcoming. I'm going to be pretty broad in my component here. This campus, the one you see here, is a combination of roughly 6 to 7 different companies right within this gate area and beyond. Part of the infrastructure that was impacted by this tank failure will be shut down and has been shut down throughout this day process so that the site can be safe for our operations, which will have a limited production on a couple of the other businesses here on site. That information is one I don't want to get into the details, but it is part of the complex, intertwined nature of the site. You heard our representatives and our state officials talk about how critical this industrial area is to this community. It has been this way for 100 years now and remains that way. Many folks have many generations of family that have worked at these sites and a very broad support off-site for agencies and businesses that support the work on site. This is an impact feeling wide and deep throughout the community.
Jack Billieu, Cairo 7. Earlier in the day this was described as a chemical explosion. Since heard the word rupture and now, failure. Sure. When this stuff came out, are we talking it just spills out? Was it under pressure? How exactly did this play out after that tank ruptured? I understand, still not sure how exactly it ruptured, but what happened after that?
Right, so I want to outline what we said earlier. The original call was for an implosion or an explosion of a tank with 3 burned and 1 missing. That was the original 911 call of many that was received by the 911 center. We're not stating that it was an explosion, implosion. We don't know if something precipitated that, and then that was secondary to whatever the first thing was. That's why when we stayed here today, we said failure, as the representatives outlined. The Chemical Safety Board is a great group of folks that when they come here, they will figure that out. They will figure out what happened in that sequence of happening and then be able to identify for this site and all sites like it, how to ensure something like that can be prevented. Okay, so we're not sure how. Our focus is on the rescues as well as the recovery, and that will be a step that will be occurring in the days to come. Okay, last one. I missed the middle part. A potential what?
Any potential for rescue
Okay. As we identified, there's 9 unaccounted for. There were 9 facility staff transported, 1 firefighter transported. The situation here is one that through the AWPPW staff as well as the law enforcement and medical examiner staff, we provided very detailed information to the families at hand. They were the first to know about the tank's instability and the changes in our in our strategies on site. So they are a very strong priority. At the moment, we do not believe, we are not aware of any rescues that are yet to be made that are being hampered by the situation at hand. We had folks in firefighting gear make entry, and then we had folks in hazmat suits make entry and did checks into areas that were dangerous, extremely dangerous. So as I say, there's no belief of rescues that still need to be made.
We also used drones to access those areas secondary after our responders had been in them in that recovery, the initial rescue operations.
So thank you very much. As we outlined, we'll have an update provided by 10 a.m. tomorrow, and I appreciate your being here as well as the help throughout the communities. Thank you very much.
Well, you've been listening to an incredibly sobering news conference from first responders and political leaders from all levels in Longview, where a chemical tank exploded at a paper mill this morning along the Columbia. 1 person dead, 9 injured, including a firefighter, and 9 people unaccounted for. The one confirmed dead, his name is Gilbert Bernal, a father, a grandfather, a husband, a friend, described as a wonderful person by the pastor who knew them, worked at this plant for 15 years as an electrician. No word on the exact extent of those injuries, but 9 injured and 9 unaccounted for as we look at these incredible images of that tank on its side, which officials caution still has liquid inside it, a chemical that could burn you and potentially, as we've seen, potentially kill you as well. The recovery process now on pause overnight. First responders saying their priority is to stabilize the tank and then remove the liquid. They're not sure in which order they're going to do that. Concerns 2 tanks could mix. Responder and plant safety, obviously the #1 priority. And then they say the grim task, the reality of accessing the human remains in or around that tank and eventually returning those human remains to their families. They're not saying 9 people presumed dead, but they're saying 9 are missing and unaccounted for as that recovery effort is put on pause overnight. Truly unthinkable horrors today. Congresswoman Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez saying, well, Senator Patty Murray saying, an amazing community of hard-working people. This tragedy affects everyone. We've also learned some people in the Longview-Kelsey area will be holding a vigil this evening. We'll be covering that and any updates on the implosion in a special edition newscast here on KGW Plus and on air right after tonight's NBA game on NBC. Tragic day here in the Portland Metro. For now, I'm David Molko. Stay safe. We'll see you back here later tonight.